funded projects, including science and technology for post-basic education step B projects, the Center of Excellence projects in software engineering, and she was designated the safeguard officer for OAU ICT-driven knowledge park, OAK project, also funded by World Bank. Professor Ojo belongs to a number of professional associations, among which are West African Research and Innovation Management Association, WARIMA, Counselling Association of Nigeria, and Association of Counselors and Psychotherapists in Africa. Currently, Olubukola Ojo is the principal investigator for TED Fund research projects on needs and vulnerabilities of orphans in orphanages and family settings in Nigeria. And administratively, she is the chairperson of the University Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee. Professor Ojo is married to Dr. Olayemi Ojo, and they are blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Olubukola Ojo for the presentation of the 396th inaugural lecture of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I stand on established protocols. It is with great joy that I present the 396th inaugural lecture of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria. I thank God for life and this wonderful opportunity. My journey at Obafemi Awolowo University began in 1984 as an undergraduate student in the Faculty of Education. I earned a BSc in Education, Economics, MSc and PhD degrees in Guidance and Counseling. I obtained a postgraduate diploma in Monitoring and Evaluation from Stellenbosch University, South Africa, and a certificate in Adolescent Health in low and mid-income countries from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, United Kingdom. Additionally, I hold certifications in Project Management, University of Greenwich, UK, Project Management by Objectives and Performance, Joburg, South Africa, Research Management and Fundraising Fundamentals by Carnegie Corporation of the United States of America, among others. My work experience in OAU began with my appointment as an assistant lecturer in 1997, and I rose through the ranks to become a professor in 2011. My publications are in reputable national and international journals. I have attended several local and international conferences and workshops in different countries of the world, in Nigeria, USA, Germany, UK, South Africa, Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, the Gambia, Dakar, Senegal, Mauritius, to mention a few. My research and publications have contributed immensely to knowledge and practice in the field of health counseling and education, such as school health, adolescent health, research management, gender, and monitoring and evaluation. I belong to a number of professional associations, among which are Counseling Association of Nigeria, Association of Counselors and Psychotherapists in Africa, and West African Research and Innovation Management Association. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I specialized in guidance and counseling, conducted and engaged in extensive research on health-related issues, and in the process was able to publish papers to cover topics such as anxiety, HIV/AIDS counseling, oral health, adolescent sexual health, smoking, drug addiction. My research contributions inspired the title of this inaugural lecture, titled Navigating Health Counseling in Dimensions. What is guidance and counseling? Guidance is a broad term to describe what professionals do or services provided to assist individuals to make informed choice. Counseling is one of the services in guidance and is a more involved helping relationship between a professional counselor and a client. Counseling helps individuals work through life issues by increasing self-awareness, self-understanding, and developing coping skills and strategies for behavioral change. Counseling can help resolve most problems, whether addiction, stress, anxiety, sexual and marital problems, prolonged grief, and work-related problems. The word guidance and counseling describe all that the professionals do in the field. Areas of specialization in this discipline include health counseling, career vocational counseling, family, sex, and marital counseling, rehabilitation counseling, addiction counseling, gerontological counseling, financial counseling, special needs learners counseling, pupil personnel counseling, and mental health counseling. The major skills employed in guidance and counseling are listening and communication skills, unconditional positive regard, self-disclosure, empathy, questioning, and reflection. The diagnostic tools used in counseling are standardized instruments. They measure symptoms, behaviors, emotions, and cognitive processes. Therapies based on theoretical approaches of psychodynamics, cognitive behaviorism, humanism, existentialism, among others, are administered to effect behavior change. What the counselor does is to diagnose, design, and implement interventions for the client. He or she evaluates and follows up to see that the clients are coping effectively. Thereafter, the counseling relationship is terminated when the goal has been achieved or when the client needs to be referred to other specialists for further assistance. Interestingly, people equate counseling with advice giving and believe that anybody can give advice. It should be noted that advice emanates from personal beliefs, perceptions, biases, and experiences of the advisor. The advice from non-professionals are subjective, non-validated personal opinions, and perceptions that might not be right. It is better to visit a professional guidance counselor that we employ standardized diagnostic instruments to objectively assess issues, intervene theoretically, and help the client reach a state of peace, stability, and harmony. Guidance and counseling is the process of helping individuals discover and develop their educational, vocational, and psychosocial potentials, and thereby achieve an optimal level of personal happiness and social usefulness. In my research endeavor, my focus was on health issues. As the saying goes, health is wealth. Children, health, and rights. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the health of children is of utmost importance as it has to do with all aspects of growth and development. It is most desirable that each child should have the opportunity to achieve full potential as they grow to become healthy adults. It is against this background that Ojo 2000 investigated the role of the counselor in children's rights protection. The children of today ought to continue into the future the work of creating a just and humane world. They are the future and tomorrow's life players. However, children whose basic and fundamental rights are denied cannot be expected to mature into healthy and productive adults who will respect the rights of others. There are large numbers of vulnerable children hawking on the streets, some not enrolled in school, children forced into child labor, trafficked children, orphans, and physically challenged, whose rights are not protected. Nigeria, though a signatory to the Convention of the Rights of the Child, is still deficient in ensuring children's rights. According to Ojo 2000, it is high time that the notion of rights transcend beyond legal, and political disciplines. Counselors will not be able to do this if they are not trained and empowered. Ojo 2000 therefore recommended that counselor training programs should include citizenship education that is focused on human rights protection. Also, that counselor skills in children's rights protection should not be limited to schools. Parents should be counseled on protecting their children's rights. Government should ensure that structures and facilities are in place for proper integration of children's rights in schools. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, further highlighting critical concerns related to child health and rights. The research on needs and vulnerabilities of orphans in orphanages and family settings in Nigeria was conducted. The study was funded by TEDFund, and the aim was to provide nationally representative data on the needs and vulnerability indicators of orphans. This is with the view of informing evidence-based policy and program interventions that improves the quality of life of orphans and uphold children's rights to adequate care, protection, and development in Nigeria. The study team noted that when children and youth are deprived of the basic needs of life, there are tendencies for vulnerability. This is more so in developing economies, where there are usually few or no clear-cut policies to protect orphans and other vulnerable children. The findings of this study show that orphans face critical challenges in both family settings and institutional care, including poor living conditions, limited access to education, inadequate nutrition, and exposure to physical and psychological abuse. Decisions regarding orphans' living arrangements are predominantly made by relatives, often without consideration for the children's preferences. It was also revealed that in family settings, the orphans depended majorly on the caregivers for almost all the support needed, whereas in orphanages, support are received from individuals and organizations. However, access to essential resources, such as adequate food, clothing, bedding, school materials, and playing materials remained a critical issue in both settings. These issues highlighted the need for stronger child protection policies and enforcement mechanisms to safeguard orphan rights to safety and well-being. Educational rights were another major concern found in the study. An average number of Nigerian orphans were found to be out of school. This problem was more pronounced among orphans in the family settings, where 14.5% of them lack access to education, compared to the 3.6% who were out of school in the institutionalized setting. This gap underscored the urgent need for targeted interventions to ensure orphans' right to quality education. Given these findings, the study recommended a multi-sectoral approach to improving the rights and well-being of orphans. Another contribution to children's health, safety, and rights was the study conducted on children and violence-related issues. Most African parents instill moral character in their children and regularly want them to always remember the child of whom they are, meaning they should not disgrace the family name wherever they go. Ojo, Akitomide, and Omoyemi, 2011, assessed parental awareness of violent acts in schools, children's willingness to report violent acts, parental responses to reports of violent acts, and strategies for addressing school violence. The result revealed that parents attributed the causes of violence to poor supervision by school authorities, peer influence, exposure to violent films, and emotional instability. Despite this awareness, discrepancies exist in communication between parents and children, with 84% of children claiming that they will report violent acts in school to their parents, while only 64% of the parents believe that their children will report to them if they perpetrate violent acts in school. Parental responses to violent acts also varied. with 65% of parents stating that they will confront the perpetrator of violence against their children. 53% will report to teacher, and 26.2% will encourage their children to retaliate, a response that raises concern about children's right to protection and peaceful conflict resolution. Establishing functional guidance and counseling units in schools emerge as a key recommendation to curb violent acts and promote non-violent conflict resolution in schools, reinforcing children's right to protection from harm. Anxiety. Anxiety is a feeling of unease, worry, dread, and fear about a situation or stress. It can be nervousness about what has happened or what will happen. A type of anxiety is interpersonal anxiety, which is oversensitivity to the perception of others. According to Ojo 1999, those with this pathology have a marked and persistent fear of embarrassment or humiliation in their relationship with others, and they are very particular about being shamed. Counselors are aware that the problems of interpersonal anxiety are the hidden reasons for some behavioral problems like truancy, school phobia, and emotional maladjustment. Ojo 1999, in an experimental study, investigated the effect of behavior rehearsal therapy on the interpersonal anxiety of secondary school students in Osun State. Behavior rehearsal is a therapy technique in which behaviors and social skills are practiced, rehearsed, or imagined to equip and prepare the client to use the skills when needed. The study sought to find out if sex of participants will influence the effectiveness of the therapy, and found that females' interpersonal anxiety did not reduce as much as the male. Overall, the result revealed that behavior rehearsal therapy significantly reduced interpersonal anxiety of students. After establishing that a behavioral approach to reducing interpersonal anxiety was effective, Ojo 2000 investigated the effect of cognitive approach, self-talk therapy also. The researcher wanted to find out if cognitive therapy would be as effective as the behavioral therapy. The results of the study showed that it was effective in reducing interpersonal anxiety, and that sex of the participant did not influence its effectiveness. Furthermore, the study noted that gender differences would not be a basis for differential counseling whenever self-talk therapy is used. Subsequently, Ojo 2001 examined the differences in the effectiveness of self-talk and behavior rehearsal therapies in interpersonal anxiety reduction. A review of literature found controversies in the effectiveness of both therapies. It was believed that some people's locus of anxiety is cognitive, and therefore will respond to cognitive therapy, and others whose locus is behavioral might respond more to behavioral therapy. The study found no significant difference in students' responses to the two therapies. It was therefore concluded that both therapies are equally effective. Investigating interpersonal anxiety further, Ojo 2005 explored anxiety and interpersonal relationship among mainstreamed physically disabled students in Osun State and its implication for counseling for special needs. The researchers studied the interpersonal anxiety that might be experienced by disabled children mainstream into regular schools, and established that children with special needs require special attention. However, their mainstreaming did not generate significant interpersonal anxiety among their peers who are not disabled and are cross-sex. Therefore, mainstreaming appears acceptable as it does not engender interpersonal anxiety. Dental anxiety in children. My husband is a dental surgeon. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Dental anxiety experienced by children was another area of health research I navigated. Dental anxiety is a feeling of apprehension about dental treatment. it is a multifactored problem frequently encountered during dental treatment of children. It is natural to experience anxiety when visiting the dentist, especially when you see the frightening dental instrument looking like axe head, pliers, and diggers. Folayan, Idehen, and Ojo 2014 investigated the effects and interrelationship between dental anxiety, dentist experience, dentist behavior, type of treatment received, and the behavior of Nigerian children during treatment. Pre- and post-dental treatment anxiety levels of child patients who attended the dental clinic to receive dental treatment for the first time were assessed. We found out that the children exhibited anxiety. However, dentist behavior played no role in changing the anxiety level of a child, nor did it have any influence on anxiety-related behavior of a child. This result indicated the need for professional counselors who can assist to stabilize children's emotion and also help them overcome pre-treatment dental fear. The experience of the dentist through the assistance of the counselor is a very significant factor for effecting a decrease in the dental anxiety of children. In another study on dental anxiety, in a subpopulation of African children, Folayan, Idehen, and Ojo 2004 investigated parents' ability to predict their child's anxiety and its relationship to general anxiety and behavior in the dental chair. Dental anxiety often results in disruptive behavior during dental treatment, and cases of behavioral problems in children due to dental anxiety have been reported in private dental practices. According to Folayan, Idehen, and Ojo 2004, counseling interventions that consider a child's dental anxiety level may therefore help understand and plan the treatment need of the child. Results reveal that mothers are better at predicting their child's dental anxiety level, likely due to their primary caregiving role. How does culture relate to anxiety? Culture may be defined as a system of shared beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, and artifacts that members of a society use to relate and cope with their world. It is a common fact that one cannot delineate culture from how emotions are expressed. There are some interesting cultures that I would like to mention at this point to aptly describe how strong culture is and how diverse and shocking it can be. It is said of the Akan tribe of Ghana that the tribe is matrilineal, where the woman is the head of the family and owner of the child. Properties are passed from mothers to daughters. The culture of matrilineal residences are practiced. So it is the man that will pack his belongings to the wife's house, and if he misbehaves, she can ask him to move out. Another culture is the practice of polyandry, in which a woman marries more than one husband. Polyandry is still practiced in India, where some Paharis, especially in the region of Jalsabawa of India, marries more than one husband. In Tibet, Nepal, parts of China, and some parts of northern India, 2 or more brothers do marry one wife, with the wife having equal sexual access to the brothers. Tiberians believe that a baby cannot be conceived by only one man. You have to put more men on the job. Men take 480 days paternity leave in Sweden. This had been in operation for over 40 years, and they get paid during the leave period. More than 8 European countries are allowing paternity leave. And in Nigeria now, male civil servants are entitled to 14 days paternity leave, as approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2021. So men, you better apply for your paternity leave. Having explained culture, Folayan, Idehen, and Ojo, 2004, examined the interplay between culture, age, and gender in shaping dental anxiety expression. Age was consistently linked to variations in dental anxiety, with younger children displaying higher anxiety levels. However, the relationship between gender and dental anxiety was more complex, with cultural norms influencing emotional expression differently for boys and girls. Culture not only affects cognitive development, but also modulates anxiety-related behaviors and symptoms, shaping both perception and response to dental anxiety. Understanding these cultural influences is crucial. By integrating cultural consideration into dental care, practitioners can create more supportive environments that acknowledge and address children's anxiety in ways that align with their sociocultural backgrounds. Oral health education. It is often said that you cannot give what you don't have. Teachers are usually the custodians of knowledge, and they pass the knowledge they have to students. My early days as pupil in a primary school in Ibadan witnessed early morning assembly, where pupils' dresses, nails, and hair were inspected for cleanliness. Songs to encourage personal hygiene were also rendered. One of the songs goes thus: Wẹ̀ kó mọ́, gé èékánná rẹ, jẹun tó dára lásìkò, má jẹun jù. Meaning, take your bath and be clean, cut your nails, eat good food on time, and don't overeat. One of the hygienic practices a teacher is expected to check is the cleanliness of pupils' teeth. Ojo and Ojo, that's my husband, investigated empirically the impact of oral health education on knowledge and practice of oral health by teachers. The result revealed that teachers who were exposed to oral health education improved more in knowledge than those not exposed. The study therefore showed the importance of providing teachers with oral health education so that they can be equipped to pass the knowledge to pupils effectively. HIV/AIDS counseling. The acquired immunodeficiency syndrome (AIDS) was a major cause of death in Africa early in this millennium. At that time, HIV/AIDS was viewed with trepidation because there was no cure, and most of the management drugs were under trials. HIV/AIDS infection generated a lot of concerns, especially for people living with HIV/AIDS. Ojo Adedigba, Naidu Adejuigbe, and Fakande in 2009 investigated the social, psychological, and health concerns among PLWHAs in Nigeria. Results revealed that loneliness was the primary social concern. Lack of interest in activities was the major psychological concern, and weight loss and fatigue were the most common health concerns. Notably, the least concern was the absence of a cure. The study concluded that care for PLWHAs should extend beyond medical engagement to include counseling on social and psychological concerns. In another study, the coping ability of people living with HIV/AIDS in Nigeria was investigated by Adedigba, Ojo, Ogunbodede, and Naidu, 2008, across demographic variations of gender, duration of living with HIV infection, marital status, and living arrangements, whether living with someone or living alone. The results revealed that marital status, gender, and living arrangement did not significantly influence the coping ability of PLWHA, whereas the duration of infection did, as longer years of living with the infection enhanced PLWHA's adjustment and coping. The study recommended intensified psychosocial support and professional counseling, especially during the early days and months of diagnosis of HIV infection, to improve coping strategies and overall well-being. Further research by Adedigba, Ogunbodede, Fajewoyomi, Ojo, and Naido, 2005, explored the different gender differences among oral health care workers in caring for HIV/AIDS patients in Osun State, Nigeria. When this study was carried out, HIV/AIDS was deemed a death sentence, leading to reluctance among many healthcare workers to provide treatment to people living with HIV/AIDS. Results indicated that female healthcare workers exhibited more negative attitudes than their male counterparts. The study recommended targeted counseling to help female health care workers develop a more positive attitude towards the care of HIV/AIDS patients. Akitomide and Ojo, in 2017, studied the availability and quality of human resources at Nigerian universities' HIV youth-friendly centers. It evaluated the adequacy of counselors and the availability of essential resources. The results showed that the number of counselors at the YFCs were not adequate. Secondly, most of the counselors did not possess the required qualification to render HIV/AIDS counseling. Material resources were moderately available at most of the centers. It was recommended that a minimum of a degree holder should be employed as guidance counselor at the YFCs, and they should be well trained on HIV testing. Peer educators were advised to provide support, but not to replace professional HIV counselors. Adolescent health counseling. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, adolescence is a period in human development that is between childhood and adulthood. It is characterized by increased growth of the body in weight and size. It is also the stage for the onset of puberty, entailing the development of secondary sexual characteristics. Most adults associate adolescents with loud music, well-dressing, noisy lifestyle, wild parties, and a query of rules and regulation. A recent saying that has crept into the social media is that the adolescents of the 2020s are Gen Zs, and Gen Z's concerns are more about phones, online visibility, and the probability of becoming a celebrity through social media engagement. Ojo and Omoyamiju 2014 investigated the various internet activities engaged in by students, examined the relationship between internet addiction and academic locus of control and its implication for counseling. Regardless of the benefits of the internet, specialists such as counselors, psychologists, and educators are highly concerned about problematic internet use and the adverse effect of the use of the internet. Locus of control is a concept in personality psychology, referring to the extent to which individuals believe that they can control events that affect them. People with internal LOC believe that they are in control, and success is attributed to personal effort and actions. Those with external LOC believe that the outcomes in life are determined by external forces like luck, fate, and other people, other than one's action and choices. Ojo and Omoyamiju discovered that students spend less time on the internet for academic purpose. Rather, they spend more time on the internet for social engagement. Addiction to the internet was also measured in relation to locus of control, and results showed a significant positive relationship between internet addiction and external locus of control. This implied that students who do not take responsibility for their actions were more likely to be addicted to the internet. It was recommended that students should be counseled on the probability of internet addiction and the dangers associated with it. Stress. Stress can be said to be a state of worry experienced by a person in a particular circumstance. It is a state of being under pressure that can lead to focusing on negative feelings and piling up of emotions, which prevent an individual from thinking rationally. It can lead to ill health and can be experienced by any age or gender. Academic stress is the mental and emotional pressure, tension, or discomfort that occur due to the demands of college or university life. Ojo 2011. Many things can give students stress, among which are too many assignments, meeting deadlines, lack of funds, poor relationships, failures, problems at home, and so on. Ojo in 2011, research into the level of academic stress experienced by university students, the causes of the stress, and gender differences in the academic stress of male and female undergraduates. Results revealed that 65% of students experience academic stress, and the prevalent causes were standing to receive lectures, irregular water supply in halls of residence, epileptic supply of electricity, and unfair grading. The study also found out that there was no significant difference in the academic stress experienced by male and female students. It was recommended that the management should address the stressors identified and students be counseled on coping strategies so that stress will not jeopardize their academic performance and health. Another factor that can impact health negatively is smoking. Ojo, Lawani, Adedigba, and Wato, 2008, investigated the factors that influence smoking behavior of adolescents and young adults in a Nigerian university. The study investigated whether parenting style, parental level of education, and smoking peers have any influence on the smoking behavior of adolescents and young adults. The results revealed that there was significant influence of parenting styles on smoking behavior of adolescents and young adults. The highest number of smokers experience authoritative parenting style. Furthermore, this study revealed that parents' educational attainment had a significant influence on smoking behavior of the participants. The findings revealed that percentages of high smokers are from the low educational attainment group of parents. The study also showed that adolescents and young adults can be influenced by their peers' smoking behavior habits. This can be because of the flocking phenomenon, that those who smoke can acquire friends that do smoke like them. Several recommendations emerged from this study, but majorly that the influence of authoritative parenting styles on smoking needs to be given wide publicity so that parents that do adopt this style should be careful, as it could lead children to smoking habits. Secondly, there should be school-based prevention programs and increased mass media public awareness. The programs could include, among others, regular health talks about the consequences and complications of smoking, so that irrespective of their background, children are able to adopt healthy practices. Adolescent sexual health. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, adolescents are often preoccupied with sexual issues, maybe because of the rapid growth, the development of secondary sexual characteristics, and increased hormonal activities in their bodies. Parents are expected to help their children navigate this period by assisting them to understand what is going on in their bodies. When parents communicate with their children, it will inform areas they need to look out for before the children become sexually active. Communicating sexual issues with children promotes family connectedness, prevents unwanted pregnancy, and early childbearing. It is with this background that Ojo, Aransiola, Fatusi, and Akitomide 2011 investigated the patterns and socio-demographic correlates of parent-child communication on sexual and reproductive health issues in southwest Nigeria. We sought to understand the parents' awareness of the adolescents' involvement in sexual activities generally, and whether they have the knowledge that their children were involved. It was interesting to note that an overwhelming majority were quite aware that adolescents were sexually active, but on the contrary, majority were not aware or believed that their children were involved in the same act. It was found out that the younger a child, the more unacceptable it is to parents to give reproductive health education. It was further found that even when it was acceptable to give adolescent reproductive health education, emphasis was placed more on issues of threats and warnings as a way to discourage the adolescent for sexual activities. Women were encouraged to discuss with children more and not leave the responsibility to men alone. In another study, Ojo and Akitomide 2011 investigated parent-child sexual communication to determine if parental education and age can influence the breaking of the culture of silence associated with sexual communication between parents and adolescents. The result revealed that parental educational attainment did not significantly influence sexual communication by the parents. It was also discovered that younger parents communicated sexual issues more than the older parents. It was therefore recommended that older adults should be sensitized and counseled on the importance of breaking the culture of silence associated with discussing sexual issues. Sexting behavior among university undergraduates. Sexting is a combination of two words, sex and texting. Sexting behavior is the habit of use of mobile phones, computer systems, and other digital devices to receive or send digital graphic sexual images through short message service and other social networks to opposite or same sex. Some recipients of such messages might not be offended. But because they were unsolicited, it can be offensive to some receivers. Akinwale and Ojo 2019 investigated the relationship between sexting behavior, self-control, and psychological well-being. The results showed a significant relationship between sexting and self-control, but no significant relationship between sexting behavior and psychological well-being. It was concluded that students should be counseled on self-control in refraining from sending offensive posts and sexting behavior. In another research, Akinwale and Ojo 2022 studied personality traits and sexting behavior among undergraduates of public university in southwest Nigeria. The findings showed 11.5% of the students demonstrated a high level of sexting behavior, 32.7% medium level, and 55.9% demonstrated low level of sexting behavior. Furthermore, there was no significant contribution of personality traits to the prevalence of sexting behavior. It was recommended that counselors should pay attention to addressing sexting behavior and less attention to personality traits of offenders when managing sexting behaviors. Perception to violence and disciplinary practices. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, child discipline is part of child rearing practices to enforce proper behavior in the child. There is a common belief that children experience violence at home in the guise of discipline. There are various methods of enforcing discipline in Nigeria, such as reprimand, withdrawal of privileges, kneeling for a long time, whipping, eating with objects, and so on. Omoyemi Ojo and Olatomide investigated the types of violent disciplinary practices that are most common and the knowledge of parents and teachers on what constitutes VDP against secondary school students in the guise of discipline. The results showed that most undertaking VDP is kneeling for a long time, usually accompanied with raising up of hands and closing the eyes. The next is flogging with a cane. Most of the teachers, 55.4%, were able to identify VDP, while only 9.3% of the parents show a similar level of knowledge of what constitutes VDP. Based on these findings, it was recommended that parents and teachers should be counseled on what constitutes VDP in the name of discipline. They should be counseled on employing positive reinforcement, such as praise and reward system, to effect desirable behavior. It was suggested that parents should be educated on the difference between discipline and violent discipline. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Ojo and Lawani in 2010, research into learners' disposition to violence in an African society and its implication for counseling. Family type within the context of this study was monogamous and polygamous family. The study investigated the level of disposition to violence of learners from monogamous and polygamous African marriage forms. It found out that the influences of parental occupation and level of education on learners' disposition to violence. The result revealed that the percentage of learners from polygamous home who were disposed to violence were higher than those from monogamous home. It was also discovered that fathers' occupation and mothers' educational level were significant influences on learners' disposition to violence. It was therefore recommended that parents should be counseled on maintaining peace in their homes because of the children, towards gender-sensitive counseling in science and technology. It was reported in 1992 by the Science Teachers Association of Nigeria that less than 10% of total enrollment in Nigerian university for science and technology disciplines were females. Only 6% of science-related disciplines enroll female, while a wealth of research over the past 2 decades in Africa showed a consistent pattern of underrepresentation of girls in science and technology subjects and careers. Not much has been done to examine the role of counselors' bias on this. Therefore, Ojo, 2008, investigated the availability of viable counseling services in secondary schools to promote females' participation in science and technology. In addition, she determined if sexism existed among the counselors in Osun State. The results showed that there were no viable counseling services in schools in Osun State. Secondly, that counselors who were supposed to motivate females' participation in science and technology courses were biased. They believe females cannot participate in some courses and cannot do certain professions. They believe that certain courses are for males and others are for females. It was recommended that school counselors should be exposed to gender-sensitive counseling to improve their attitude to gender-related counseling. I want to make an example here. My dean, Professor Theodora Bello, she is a scientist, professor in science. Professors here, we not allow her to climb a mast, you know, those kind of MTN masts. When she traveled abroad, they now had to ask her, why are you not climbing up? And she was looking. So Nigerian professors encourage females to participate in science and technology. Research experiences of students. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the main ingredient for development is research. This motivated my desire to find out issues surrounding final year students' research. The final year students are expected to write long essays as partial requirement for the fulfillment of the award of their bachelor's degrees. They are assigned to a supervisor who has an oversight function on the work. It is known that students do so many erroneous things in carrying out their research, from plagiarism to paying agents to do the research for them. Ojo 2004 investigated the experiences and attitude of university students to research work. It was discovered that students experience difficulties in carrying out research. One of such difficulties is finance. They spend a lot of money in printing, photocopying, and paying for research materials. The researchers discovered that atrocities are also committed by some students in the course of their research work, such as copying other theses. It was thus suggested that students should be counseled on research ethics, provided with information on funding, and taught the fundamentals of fundraising and grantsmanship for research funds. That was 2004, when artificial intelligence was not known, and plagiarism check was not in existence then. One can hardly imagine the atrocities that will be in place now. Academic accomplishments in OAU. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, having mentioned some of my research outputs, I wish to mention briefly some of my accomplishments in OAU. I am honored to be the first female professor of guidance and counseling in the Faculty of Education in this great university. I have supervised over 30 undergraduate long essays, 15 masters, and 6 PhD theses. Through the Carnegie Project, I was trained a master trainer in proposal writing and grantsmanship. I was trained as a master trainer in proposal writing and grantsmanship. Thereafter, I have been involved in training over 200 academic staff members, postgraduate students, administrators, between 2008 and 2015. My conference name then was Bouncing Bouquet, a nickname that many still call me today. For the past 13 years, as chairperson of the Faculty of Education Annual Conference Committee, my team and I have secured over 30 million naira for the faculty. In 2021, we secured the donation of a Toyota Sienna bus and a Toyota Corolla car for the faculty's use. For this year, I have been able to raise 3 million naira. In the area of research funding, I am currently the principal investigator for Third Fund Research Project on the needs and vulnerability assessment of orphans in Nigeria, with fieldwork in Gombe, Osun, Lagos, Akwa Ibom State, and FCT Abuja. Balancing home and career. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to share my experience in this regard. Peradventure, it resonates with anyone here because I went through a lot. I am grateful to God for divine help and to my family for their unwavering support. I spent 5 years on my PhD program, juggling work and home responsibility. I remember meeting a senior female professor in 1996 when I was looking for a research assistant role. That day, I was bringing my baby from the daycare, and the baby was on my back. The professor, madam, looked at me and said, "This one is not ready for work. She is still nursing a baby." I wept profusely because I needed the job. But a year after, to the glory of God, I was appointed at OAU. That experience shaped my resolve to support nursing mothers in academia. I converted my boys' quarters to a crèche, named it after my last born, and engaged some workers to assist to look after our babies while we women go to work. The alumni of Shalom's Daycare Center are all grown up now Glory to God. In another experience, while on my PhD program, I brought my baby to school to be able to do the baby-friendly breastfeeding effectively. Many times, the baby would have cried while I was attending lectures. That experience made me resolve to keep my office door open to students' mothers who need to breastfeed or change their babies' diapers. I frequently use the opportunity to counsel them and share coping strategies with them. There was another time I could not meet up with the total number of publications required for promotion due to academic stress, demands of pregnancy and childcare. One day, a male senior professor in his wisdom felt he should advise me. He called me aside and shook his head. He said, look at you. Instead of you to be writing and producing paper, you are producing babies. I wept again, but today, to the glory of God, all those babies are grown. To balance work and home front, I sacrifice watching television, social functions, and extracurricular activities. I wake up 4 a.m. every day to stay ahead. To young women in academia, I urge you to press on. You may not progress as quickly as your male colleagues, but with perseverance and grace, you will get there. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I think it will be a good idea for women in academia to get additional promotion and pay to acknowledge their contributions of childbearing to national development. My administrative contributions. Administratively, I am currently the chairperson of University Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee. I have served as all Mistress Akitola Hall, all fellows of alumni and Mozambique Halls of Student Residencies. I have served as acting head, Department of EFC in 2008 to 2010. I was the Deputy Director of Linkages and Sponsor Research 2014 to 2016. I was part of the team at OAU that facilitated the presence of Carnegie Corporation of the U.S. with a funding of over $7 million. I was a member of the steering committee of partnership between Johns Hopkins University and OAU, funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I was the former M&E officer for World Bank funded projects, including Science and Technology for Post-Basic Education Step B project and the Center of Excellence project in Software Engineering. I was designated the Safeguard Officer for OAU, ICT-Driven Knowledge Park, Oak Park project, also funded by World Bank. As the Safeguard Officer, I supervise welfare and infrastructure development under the African Center of Excellence project. I was trained by World Bank as Safeguard Officer before the project's commencement, and as I was able to train the workers on the site. So engineers, you have to respect me. Academic engagement outside OAU. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to itemize other academic engagements beyond OAU. I have served as a consultant to UNICEF Nigeria and the Federal Ministry of Education on various projects, including assessment of violence and exploitation against children in Nigerian schools, development of national strategic framework for violence-free basic education, creation of the national strategic framework on climate change and conflict management in Nigerian basic education, drafting learning manuals for peace building, conflict resolution, counseling, adolescent health, family life education, and health education manuals. I have also trained academic staff at Taisho University of Education, Achievers University Owo, and King's University Odeomu in proposal writing skills and grantmanship. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and beloved family and friends, as I reflect on my journey, I am filled with immense gratitude to God. The road to balancing home and career, especially as a woman in academia, has been demanding but fulfilling. Through perseverance, faith, and unwavering support from my family, colleagues, and mentors, I have navigated the challenges and embraced the opportunities that have come my way. My experiences have reinforced my belief in the power of resilience and determination. I have learned that setbacks can become stepping stones if we remain steadfast in our pursuit of excellence. I hope that my journey will inspire young women in academia to press forward, knowing that while the journey may be tough, success is attainable with patience and dedication. I also strongly advocate for institutional policies that acknowledge and support the dual responsibilities of academic women, ensuring a more inclusive and equitable work environment. Appreciation and acknowledgement. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Obafemi Awolowo University, a place that has shaped and nurtured my career. I am grateful to all my mentors, colleagues, and students who have been part of my academic and administrative journey. Your encouragement, collaboration, and support have been invaluable. In particular, I want to thank Dr. Adeola Adefowora, Professor Ogunbono, and late Professor Fawale for facilitating the beginning of my journey here. I acknowledge all my teachers, especially Professor Kayode Alao, Professor E.R.I. Afolabi, Professor Alade Jano, Professor Kobi Owuk, and others for the invaluable contributions to my development. I thank the linkages team of early 20s under the leadership of Professor Abiodun Adediran for their mentorship. Other members were Professor Faborode, Professor Mole, Professor Kehinde Taiwo, and Professor Simi Odenyika. I appreciate you for academic guidance and opportunity to be part of the Carnegie Project, despite the fact that I was an early career academic then. I cannot but mention my darling mommy, Emeritus Professor Fumi Togonu Biketse, for her mentorship and opportunities she gave me to be part of Step B, Center of Excellence, and Third Form Project. I appreciate Professor Adeshegun Fatusi for mentorship, opportunity to work together on UNICEF, and opportunity for sponsorship to international conferences and trainings. I appreciate Professor G.A. Aderomu for the opportunity given to me to be part of the World Bank sponsor Center of Excellence and African Center of Excellence project. I appreciate Professor Yemisi Obilade, former Vice Chancellor, Taisho Larin University of Education, for the sabbatical opportunity given to me in 2015 to advance my career. I equally appreciate all academic and non-academic staff of Faculty of Education, the past and present deans, all HODs in the faculty, and my wonderful colleagues in the faculty and the Department of Educational Foundations and Counselling. I appreciate all those who are serving and those who have served as faculty conference committee since inception. Thank you for all we have achieved together. I am equally grateful to 2019 TEFO project team members and all my research partners for their commitment, teamwork, and joint publications. Permit me to mention 3 mentees who are now senior academics in their own right. They are Dr. Jibike Anuodo, my first postgraduate student, Dr. Akinjide Akintomide, who is now an associate professor, Dr. Adeniyi Omoyemiju, now a senior lecturer, and who I respect so much for their loyalty, patience, and endurance. I appreciate you for being diligent and committed to working with me. I thank God for bringing the 3 of you across my path. I sincerely appreciate my former students and mentees, the Young Adult Connect group, especially their daughters, Funke, Tola, Taiwo, Israel, Victor, Bumi, Yemisi, Tobi, Bidemi, Shembuki, and all others. We have a group, Young Adult Connect group. I appreciate all GCK alumni, especially BC, Nosa, Rashid, Oba, Taiwo, Sheyi, Shadere, Mikemi, Olumide, Habib, and others. I appreciate all those who have helped funded the Faculty of Education Conference over time, especially Drs. Bola and BC Akindele, Eleniyan, Otubakale Jaye San, Dr. Afolabi, Dr. Fadeni, Jibola Ogun Kayede, you fit fly. On the family front, I appreciate my father and mother, late Otumba and Florence Adeyinka Fowora, for their sacrifices. May their souls continue to rest in perfect peace. I am grateful to Chief Mrs. Stone Bakare, fondly called Auntie Tutu, who took care of me when growing up. I am grateful to all my siblings, Mrs. Bumi Oyewale, Mr. Olushola Fowora, Mr. Oludare Fowora, Funke Fowora, Mrs. Kemi Jiboku, and all the Fowora family members, including Chief Akikumi Jiboku, Eniola, Toberu, Bonle, Iwalola, and all Adeniyi family of Oroago, Kwara State that adopted me. I sincerely appreciate my mother and father-in-law, Reverend Dr. Peter Faramade Ojo and Ruth Olufunke Ojo, and all the Ojo family for making me a daughter in the family. I appreciate my in-laws, the Ademodis, especially Mrs. Yetude Ademodi, and my son-in-law, Amika Akinsimoyi Ademodi. I appreciate my spiritual mentors, Bishop and Reverend Mrs. Mike and Titi Bamidele, the Lord Bishop of Victory Life Ministries. I appreciate my prayer mentors, Dr. and Dr. Francis and Grace Olonode, General Overseer, Jesus is Love Foundation International, Jesus Embassy, Honorable Justice and Mrs. Awotoye, Professor Amurewa, the Bala Adedigba, the Ola Sodes, Pastor Eni Ayekan, the Simeon Fayomis, and many others. To my friends and well-wishers, Your words of encouragement and unwavering belief in me have been a source of strength. In the Christian family, I appreciate most sincerely all members, all intercessors, and pastors in Victory Chapel, especially in Ife Zone. All the children I am raising, I love you all. To my immediate family, especially my children, who have endured my long hours of study, research, travels, and responsibility, I owe you my best gratitude. Patience and sacrifices have fueled my aspirations and accomplishments. Finally, to my crown, my husband, my sweet love, Dr. Olayemi Ojo, I want to say a big thank you for supporting me over the years to be what I am today. Faithful, dutiful, loving, patient husband. Only you can marry me. You were the one who encouraged me to do this inaugural. Thank you so much for your care. I will forever love you. Above all, I thank God Almighty for his divine guidance and grace, which have been my anchor throughout this journey. As I continue to serve in my various capacities, I remain committed to mentoring and uplifting the next generation of scholars. May we all continue to strive for excellence and contribute meaningfully to the advancement of knowledge and society. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the University Central Administration, my family members, my students, my fathers and mothers, both spiritual and temporal, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all. And may we continue to inspire and support one another in our respective journeys. Thank you most sincerely for your attention. May God bless and keep you all. Amen.
On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Adebayo Simeon-Bamira, I present this certificate of presentation of inaugural lecture to Olubukola Olakunbi Ojo. This certifies that Olubukola Olakunbi Ojo, a professor of health counseling in the Department of Educational Foundations and Counseling, Faculty of Education, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, delivered the 396th inaugural lecture titled Navigating Health Counseling in Dimensions on April 22nd, 2025. Congratulations.